Hi guys, and welcome to Ayahuasca Podcast.com. As always, me, Sam Believe, the founder of Lawairo Ayahuasca Retreat. Today I'm joined once again by Oliver Glozik of Guacamaya Retreat. This time we're filming at this territory here at his retreat. So that beautiful paintings that you see in the background, you might see them in his videos as well. And the subject for today's video is frequently asked questions and concerns about ayahuasca. Oliver, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me and for coming all the way up here to the north of Medellin to keep on sharing this valuable question, to answer questions that you might have. Also write comments, messages to Sam or me about topics, suggestions, and we're more than happy to create more content specifically about what's important to you. And frequently asked questions, common concerns, I think is a very big topic because, there's so many stories out there about ayahuasca and people want to have that experience, but it's something so foreign. So obviously there are concerns, there are questions, and I think the big one is about safety. Safety in the physical sense, and then the emotional one. We can go step by step. And the first one is it safe to drink ayahuasca?
Well, short answer is yes. Ayahuasca is safe. However, it's only safe if you do it right. So what I generally like to say is whenever you hear those terrible stories of somebody being hurt on ayahuasca, it's one of the three things. Either the shaman is not a real shaman and he doesn't really know what he's doing, or the medicine is not the real medicine and has dangerous additives, or the person that's coming to the retreat did not follow the instructions, were taking some medicine, or was already on the borderline of dying and ayahuasca just tipped him over. Did I miss anything?
Well, the contraindication, I think what you said is perfect. Ayahuasca is safe if you are safe and you do it in the right circumstances, and medical contraindications. So people with psychiatric conditions, it's borderline personality disorder, also schizophrenia. Those things for those people, the ups and downs are very intense. And on ayahuasca and also after, it can feel that much more intense as well. Psychotic breaks could happen. Also, if you add maybe LSD into the mix, shortly being consumed before or after ayahuasca. So those things are obviously very strong substances, and also that affect the brain chemistry. And if there's a imbalance in the brain with pre-existing medical conditions, it's better to step away and not drink ayahuasca.
So guys, if you're planning to drink ayahuasca 4 weeks before the retreat, stop taking any antidepressants, stop taking any psychoactive medicines, stop taking any psychedelics other than, no LSD, no mushrooms, no weed, and that should keep you safe. And closer 2 weeks before, stop drinking alcohol, and then start a special diet for preparation, and that should keep you safe. As you mentioned regarding mental health, I really like that explanation that I've read in some podcasts. But basically, in mental health, there's two sides of mental health issues: too much chaos and too much order. Too much chaos is stuff like schizophrenia, psychosis. Too much order is stuff like depression, OCD, PTSD, anxiety, which is characterized by repeating thought loops. So what you want to do is you want to break the thought loops. So you need more chaos. And if you're already bipolar or psychosis, schizophrenia, you have too much chaos, you don't want to add more chaos. So it's basically, if you find yourself here, then psychedelics are good to add a bit more chaos, allow your brain to reset and start from scratch. So I know it's not directly on the question, but I think that it'll be valuable for some of you to know, guys.
Yes, so make sure that you're medically clear to drink ayahuasca. I think it also extends over to heart disease, to epilepsy as well, and also talk with the Ayahuasca Retreat Center itself. Everybody has their own guidelines that they follow, and by choosing a reputable retreat center, they want to make sure that you're safe, because they cannot afford to make any compromises, and it's better to say no to a person more than try to get everybody there and then deal with consequences that you don't want to deal with. So ayahuasca is safe if you have the right medical condition to drink, if you drink at the right place. And then the next question about safety, I think it also goes over to the emotional safety. Will I be safe during the ceremony? What about the intensity of the journey? Am I ready to face all the childhood traumas that I have buried? All that kind of stuff. So
am I gonna go crazy?
Am I gonna go crazy? Will I lose control? Mm-hmm. And it's a lot more elusive, and would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So I do believe that you will lose control, but it's a good thing. You lose control. So if you think about it, we have ego, and ego is not always a bad thing. Ego is a mental construct that helps us control ourselves. It helps us achieve things and protect ourselves. But sometimes the ego is running on like a software that hasn't been updated for many years. So let's say you've been abused mentally when you were a kid. You became overly protective, and you still keep doing it even though now in your life there are no people abusing it. So it's good to let go of the control, and ayahuasca helps you to release that ego. It dissolves. You go back there and you adjust it a little bit, so you're a little bit less strict or maybe a little less reactive. So losing control can be a good thing in that container. Obviously, when you lose control, you need to make sure that you don't have your own protection. So your environment and the facilitators of the retreat, they have to be there for you. They have to protect you. What do you think, Oliver?
I think it's a very big topic. And if you think about, I think a big topic is being able to trust yourself, the medicine, the facilitators, the ayahuasca, because you're going to sleep every single day and you lose control. You don't know what you're going to dream. You don't know if you're going to wake up, but you've done it so many times that you, in most cases, unless you have severe nightmares, you're not afraid of going to sleep. And knowing that you're not venturing into psychedelics, but you're drinking a medicine. And this is a medicine that has a long tradition and that we're following, that we're sharing, and people are going to take care of you. They know those states of ayahuasca very well and know what the different participants need at different times as well. And then knowing that whatever comes up for me, there's a reason that it comes up, and also having the trust in yourself that I'm able to confront, feel whatever I need to feel, and then go through it. And I think that's the trust in yourself and the medicine and the process is a very big factor of starting to let go of control.
Oliver, at your retreat, what do you do to help people feel more emotionally safe?
Mm-hmm. So I think very important are conversations before. Of feeling good in the group, sharing your intentions, sharing agreements of confidentiality, respect and non-judgment, authenticity, to have those conversations that you are going in that extraordinary state of consciousness, that you might encounter certain parts of yourself where you feel fear, where you feel tired, alone, all that kind of stuff, and that you are ready to go on that journey. Also, before the first ceremony, we do a holotropic breathwork session where you consciously overbreathe. You have more oxygen in your body that changes your brain chemistry. The monkey brain starts to shut down. Deeper parts of the brain where deep memories, emotions are stored are going to activate. So people are already making that shift from their head to their body, to their heart. We do the ice bath before the ceremonies as well, because in the ice bath, you're not thinking about the problems of yesterday or the worries of tomorrow. You are in the present moment. You found out that you're a lot stronger than you thought that you were. And also you're building trust in yourself, in the place, in the group, in the facilitators. It's not just you come, you drink, you go, but you ease into the whole process.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's important to spend some time before the first ceremony for the group to get to know each other, for everyone to feel comfortable, for everyone to trust the taita, trust the facilitators, because it's hard to trust strangers. So this is really crucial. Another thing that I think helps a lot and helps add comfort for people, emotional comfort during the ceremony when they're going through those difficult moments, is medicine music. Medicine music is there for you. It's like a lifeline to a tradition. It's like you're not alone. You might not see anything, or you might not even remember language, right? You might be so deep, but you will feel that there is music, and this music means that it's still organized. You still have support. The help that music provides is really invaluable. This definitely is one of those things. Did we forget anything on that subject?
Well, another thing which I believe helps a lot is the facilitator and the shaman. So when people, you watch them and they encounter something, and then they start to become nervous and anxious and all that kind of stuff. And, I had a moment, it was more in my beginning journey of ayahuasca, where somebody was having a strong reaction, and I was starting to be a bit worried about the person as well. Mm-hmm. And then the day after, Sergio talked with me, and he says like, yeah, you cannot be that. You always have to have that level of trust. And so when people are going through whatever difficult situations or reactions, I stay very grounded and communicate that, not with the words, but with the attitude, the way you interact with that person, and they feel like, oh, okay, no, somebody is there, somebody is composed. And having that level of composure within yourself, the facilitator, the taita, it helps ground you in the experience as well.
Definitely, it's much easier for us to remain calm in the ceremony, because we've been doing it for a few years now, and something that for a visitor might seem like, wow, this is crazy, is normal for us. So we just chill. A lot of times people come to us after ceremony and say like, how can you maintain that level of composure? And it's just you learn to trust. You learn to trust that even though it seems like something is happening, nothing is going to happen. Nothing bad is going to happen. Oliver, next question. Physical discomfort. A lot of times people ask, how comfortable would it be? Will I puke? Will I poop myself? That stuff, things. What do you say?
Well, apart from the poop yourself, I think the physical discomfort is just part of the experience. And there's a Spanish saying which I like a lot, is fortalecer, to fortify, that you strengthen yourself by going through these experiences mentally, emotionally, spiritually, but also physically. And sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to drink ayahuasca because I don't want to puke. And in reality, it's if that's the reason why you don't want to drink ayahuasca, you're not really ready for ayahuasca. Your pain is not that big. If vomiting for 2 minutes or 1 minute is something that stops you from having a possible transformational experience in your life. And also vomiting is actually a very healthy mechanism that all mammals do. I mean, my dog pukes when he ate something bad, and it's a part of this intoxication. And I also had a participant. She said her favorite part of the ceremony was the puking itself. Because it's not just the physical release, it's also emotional, spiritual cleansing, things that you've been holding on to that you let go, and then the ceremony starts to become better as well. So I think the purging is a huge element to ayahuasca and a very beneficial one.
Yeah, like in Colombian tradition, as you know, they don't say vomitar, they say aliviar, which means to alleviate. So it's not like vomiting, it's alleviating, because as you said, together with that bodily fluid comes out emotions, spiritual junk, and afterwards you feel immediately better. It's also really funny and difficult to understand, but you get better at puking till the point where by the end of the retreat you're so good at it, and it's people expect to puke. They're like, oh, I didn't purge this ceremony, something wrong with me, it felt incomplete. So it goes from something undesirable to something you expect, because you know that it will come together with the release. And same goes with all the other types of purging. Purging can be yawning, crying, talking, screaming, shaking your body. It can be going to the toilet, diarrhea, peeing. Any release of any sorts is a purging, and you can feel the tension leaving your body. It's that stress that we carry all over our body, in our muscles, in our guts, in our organs. It just leaves you in the form. And sometimes you might expect it as something unpleasant, but it's actually is not that bad. And what about pooping yourself? Have you ever pooped yourself over? Be honest.
I've done twice.
One time here so far.
But it was for me both times in the jungle with various ceremonies, with various cups of ayahuasca as well. And I can say, like, on the one time I was very greedy for more ayahuasca, and I got a little bit of a slap from ayahuasca. And yes, but I haven't had somebody poop themselves here at this place, so I'm happy about that. But in the end, it's also, you put a level of shame and guilt maybe on top of it if that happens. And even if it would happen, I mean, it's not something to be proud of, but I mean, it happened. You clean yourself up, life goes on. Not a little bit of a humbling experience, but also not the worst that could ever happen.
Yeah, guys, I pooped myself once. It was about a year ago. I had a lot of ayahuasca, very, very strong dose. And let me tell you, it was the best thing ever. I felt amazing. It's not that you don't feel it. It's not that you don't know that you're pooping yourself. It's you come to that level of not caring. You're just like, I feel like pooping. I'm just going to poop myself. And whatever. And yeah, it felt really liberating. Luckily, so we have 2 kids. So my wife is very well versed with wet vibes and changing that kind of stuff. So it kind of didn't hurt us, but it does happen occasionally at the retreat that people, you might be so deep with the medicine that you just can't go to the bathroom, and it does happen. Really rarely. It's not a big deal, but we do sell adult diapers in our store.
You do?
Yeah. You don't? You should start doing it. It's a big hit. Yeah. And a lot of times we say, if you're worried about that, just get a diaper, and just so you're not worried, because then it will allow you to actually release control and connect better with the medicine.
I think that's a very good point that you talked about, releasing control and feeling safe, because there are multiple aspects surrounded by it. And it's once you also experience ayahuasca for the first time and you see for yourself, oh, I am safe, I am taken care of, the walls are going to be that much further down the second or the third ceremony that you do as well. So, of course, in the beginning, it might feel like a concept, hey, see ayahuasca as a friend, trust it, but you've never experienced it. But once you have your first ceremony, you see like, oh, I'm good, I'm taken care of, I have a strong experience, but I'm safe, I learned something from it. Others are having those similar processes. It allows it to develop and create that level of trust through your own experience.
Yeah.
It has to be the diaper. It's the diaper.
Yeah. Speaking of trust, another subject that people worry about a lot, my experience, is the group. They're always worried, oh, the group is going to be too big, all those new people, and that, is it going to be safe? Is it the sort of trustworthiness of the other group of the people? And what I like to say on that subject is, we never ever had anyone leave the retreat and complain about their group. What people worry about the most in the beginning, that they're going to come and there will be other people at the retreat, it turns out to be, in the end of the retreat, the best thing. People become friends. They really connect, and in the end, the group dynamic, from our experience, plays a huge positive role. What do you think, Oliver? Have you observed anything on the subject of the groups?
Well, I think it's interesting, because if you meet somebody and then they trigger you, just like, oh, that type of person again. What is it about that person that person has so much emotional power over you, or so much emotional influence? In most cases, that person represents somebody to you, maybe your mom, your dad, a person that screwed you over in business, whatever it is. But if you meet somebody in such a short period of time and they have a strong emotional impact on you, in most cases, it's more about you than it is about them. And through the process of ayahuasca, you can explore those triggers and see what's inside of me that is unclear, that is in disharmony with those types of people. And those people can be the biggest mirrors and the biggest source of growth as well.
Yeah, it works this way, where you get triggered by something and you can analyze it in yourself and sort of heal it. And it also works in a way that sometimes in the group you have people that are very similar to you, people that are telling the story that is very similar to you. And you might not see your own problems because it's hard to tell yourself, maybe I'm not right, or maybe I'm not as good of a person as I thought I was. But looking at the other person in the group, going through their ayahuasca experience, and actually coming out with information, and you see at them, and then eventually it hits you, and you're like, yeah, I'm just like this person. And it's easier to accept the truth because it comes in that sort of convoluted backdoor way.
A very good point. And also, I think it's beautiful to observe that people from all over the world, different backgrounds, come together, rich, poor, overweight, skinny, all different backgrounds, and they connect on a human basis, because it's not about who has traveled the most country, who makes the most money, but about, there's certain parts in ourselves that is in disharmony, that it creates a certain level of suffering, and we can connect on those imperfect aspects of ourselves, on those things that we want to overcome together as individuals, as a collective as well, and seeing all these different backgrounds come together and listening to each other, bonding. It's a very fulfilling experience. So the group thing, it's a big thing that adds to the retreat. I think it's also, you have to see, because if you do a retreat with 12 people, it's going to be different than if you do it with 50 people. So maybe find out that level of group size that you would feel comfortable with, and there are retreats in that category as well. But the group, it's many times a lot more of like you mentioned, a lot more beneficial than initially thought.
Yeah, it's amazing to observe how over the retreat, the conversation people are having gets deeper and deeper, and people go from that sort of ego-driven, normal in our society these days mode of, look at me, I look at what I have, and sort of let me just wait for you to finish talking so I can tell you more about me. And eventually they change to actually listening to each other. I think word circles also serve as this great training how to do it, because you tell your truth for about 3 minutes, and then you just sit and listen to everyone. You cannot talk, and it's something we need to learn as a society, to listen. And people get better at listening, and like we go from, hi, nice weather today, to somebody waking up and straight thing they talk about is like deep stuff, trauma, emotions. It's just, we miss that in our life, and a lot of time people, when they go back to reality and normal, which is not really normal, they often mention to us, through a message that, yeah, the world feels funny, like they can't, they're missing the conversation, they're missing the depth of human interaction, and the group is close to half of your healing that you're going to get in an ayahuasca retreat. Ayahuasca is a big part of it, but the group is another huge part. So hard to put a number on it, but I would say like maybe 30% group, 30% medicine, 30% shaman and facilitator, 10% something else. What do you think? What's your formula, Oliver? Have you thought about it?
I think it's very hard to put that
Yeah.
into perspective. Also, probably for every person, it's different as well. For others, maybe they find somebody who represents maybe their father, then that group interaction was so much more powerful for them. For others, it was more the ayahuasca. Of course, they have to feel safe with the facilitator, the shaman, but so many times it's also your consciousness with your consciousness. So I think it's hard to put a number to it, but what I really liked, what you mentioned, is getting back to normal life, because that's a huge concern that people have as well. Well, how will I process the experience? How will my life change? I want a certain level of change, but will I be unrecognizable? Will I lose all my friends after? Will I want to quit my job? Will I be an ayahuasca facilitator after drinking ayahuasca?
Will I become a hippie?
Will I become a hippie? Yes. So let's dive into that subject.
Yeah, it's we all want change, but we don't want too much change. I'll be honest, my first time drinking ayahuasca, I was also scared. I was partially worried that I'm going to lose myself, and that me, that person, that essence will disappear, and it will be somebody else that, that's not me, right? And I must say now that me comparing to me when I was drinking ayahuasca is a completely different person, but the essence of me is still the same. And inner me now benefits from a better me and a better lifestyle that I have. So the change will never be immediate, and you're not going to go from being Oliver to being Eric. You're not going to change your personality completely. It will be a gradual process of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, where you slowly adjust. It's not like you take a truck and you throw it out and you buy another truck. It's like, you take some wing off and put another one and polish here and maybe change a wheel, adjust the motor. So you're not going to lose yourself. That's definitely a concern some people have. So don't worry about that. And what do you think, Oliver?
Well, I love the way that you described it, also the metaphor with the truck and...
Well, I'm a mechanic, so...
Okay, nice. So for me, when I first started drinking, it was a bit difficult because there was, this world of ayahuasca, and then there's this world of emails, and they feel a lot different, and this world wants to tell me something for this one, but how do I navigate? And it's certainly a challenge, but what I have found is that I've become so much more authentic throughout the process, which I really appreciate about myself, and that can cause a level of conflict with maybe your friends, in your work, in your romantic relationship. But if it requires you to be a different person to maintain any of those, is it really worth it? And to have more and more the courage to be myself and go on this journey. What I observe the 2 things the most: people start to become more authentic, and people start to become more human again, more compassionate towards others, more compassionate towards themselves, wanting to be closer with other people. And I think those are beautiful changes, and in many ways also what the world needs. And yes, it's more of a gradual change, and it also depends a lot on where you're at in your life. If you are totally lost and have no idea which direction you're going in life, and everything is super up in the air, and then you drink ayahuasca, I mean, that person is gonna have a lot different effect with ayahuasca than somebody who already is on their path or in that direction that they're going to, and maybe they realize, I want to spend some more time with my family as well and not just work 80 hours a week. Those are good realizations to have. It's not it's a path, and it's also very individual depending on your ayahuasca ceremonies. Some people come with a lot of questions, they leave with all the answers and have a lot of clarity. Others are like, well, a lot of things came up for me that now I have even maybe more questions, but those things will develop. Just take 1 step at a time. You don't need to have your whole life figured out after an ayahuasca retreat, but by going step by step, things will start to develop. Also, I'm going to say one more thing and then pass it over to you to not have too long of a monologue, but also to connect with yourself, with your intuition. Usually we're so much in our autopilot mind. Today we do what we did yesterday, and tomorrow we'll do what we did today. But what happens is with ayahuasca, you come out of that environment, you have a strong emotional impact, then you come back to that environment, and you can check with yourself. Does these types of conversations, these people, the content that I consume, the habits that I carry, are they just learned, and are they adding things to my life? Do they bring my energy up? Do they bring my energy down? When they bring your energy down, start cutting them out of your life. In 3 months, 6 months down the line, you'll be a lot different. And a lot more to say also about being more compassionate toward oneself, letting go of the inner critic, things that can also just change subtly. And you might have not been that aware of in the ceremony, but 3 months, 6 months down the line, just like, oh, a lot more has changed than I was aware of.
Change is good, guys. There's nothing better than, growing gradually and not being stagnant. It will be gradual, as I like to say, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If you, however, do get a very important insight that is very clear, but it's something very serious, like I have to quit my job tomorrow, I have to quit my relationship tomorrow, I need to move to another country tomorrow. Before you do it, take great care, analyze the thoughts, allow yourself some time to decode it, because sometimes people see a vision and they think that means one thing, but it actually means the completely opposite thing. So give yourself some time before making an irreversible, life-changing decision. If it is supposed to be that way, you'll probably make that change, but definitely do it slowly and don't commit to, a new relationship or a huge donation, or something like that, because that happens to us a lot. Somebody comes and they have such an amazing experience and they say, I want to give you money, guys. And I'm like, no, wait for a week. If after a week you still want to give us money, then yes. Because you can get open state that ayahuasca puts you in is amazing. It allows you to feel so much, but it also makes you vulnerable for other things. Like if let's say you get a facilitator that maybe doesn't have the best intention, and let's say you're a very good-looking woman, some shamans in some other places, they take advantage of it, and they might make you believe that you're in love with them. And yeah, definitely don't do it. And any serious commitment like this, and yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about that subject, but I think it nicely, it's a nice bridge to talk about physical safety as well, because unfortunately, guys, there exist places in the world where people that serve you medicine or facilitation team, they might not really be on your side, and they might want something from you that you don't want to give, whether it is giving them something physically or like sexual abuse style situations. I've heard about those things. I've never witnessed myself here or even known somebody who knows someone directly, but on that note, my suggestions would be look around, find reviews. Like I know Oliver has tons of reviews online. I have a lot of reviews. Places like Google where we don't have an effect on our reviews. We can't go and delete them and change them. It's easy, of course, for somebody to collect nice reviews on their website, but then outside of that, where they don't have control, so reading reviews, word of mouth, if you have somebody who experienced that before and they know it's safe. And it's generally just, I guess, I think you can feel when the people have right intentions. And if you come to their house and it feels comfortable, if you feel strange and uncomfortable, then maybe it's not the place. Because also then, if you feel a little paranoid and then you go in and drink medicine, you're going to get more paranoid. What do you think, Oliver, about the physical safety?
I think it's, in most cases, a bigger topic for women than it is for men. It's, I think, important to have conversations with the retreat center before you go there. Talk with multiple retreat centers and see how you feel. And wherever you feel the most comfortable is also the place for you to go drink ayahuasca. Maybe if it's a very big concern, you could have a friend join you as well. Of course, it's there's more conversations to it. If that person, of course, your friend would want to go on this journey as well. But going as a group or like with a friend might not feel as vulnerable as going by yourself. Also, I think it extends to the physical safety, but also very important is that you connect with yourself and find the answers within. Because there can be a sharing circle and somebody says something and I think, oh, I know the perfect answer for that person. But who am I to know the answer for somebody else? I have my projections just as much. And I think we as facilitators, the shaman, have to be very careful of the input that we give to the people as well, because they are in that open state. And when then the shaman says, oh, you have a blockage, you might think for yourself, I have a blockage, and then start treating it that way. So whatever somebody else tells you about your experience, what you need to learn, be open to it, listen to it, and feel into it if that's true to you or not. And then physical safety, yes, what you said, reviews. If you go on to a remote place in the Amazon to drink with a remote tribe, a very romanticized idea, maybe not the best idea for your physical safety and well-being. And it is a topic, sometimes I think it's a bit overblown as well, that I mean, those things happen, but I think in so much smaller of a cases than it actually does happen. And then when it happens, it makes those sensational nature of it. So, of course, it's not something you want to push under the table, oh, this doesn't exist and all that kind of stuff. Connect with your intuition, go to the right place, and trust yourself. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, I like what you just said about the sensational nature of it. I like this joke. If you go drink ayahuasca and 2 days later you're shot in the back alley, they'll blame ayahuasca. And it's interesting because if you go, like this group in Cartagena, they drank ayahuasca 2 days ago, something happened to them in Cartagena, and they were like, this couple drank ayahuasca and died. It was pretty recent, maybe 4 months ago. It's crazy. It feels like a joke, but in reality, ayahuasca is a sensational topic, and there's a lot of people that maybe subconsciously know they need to drink ayahuasca, but they don't want to, and they instead choose to hate on it and like sort of jump on the threads of bad things being spoken about ayahuasca because it makes them feel better. It's an interesting dynamic because those people that hate on it the most, in my opinion, are the ones that need it the most as well. But when it comes to sensationalism, you have probably 100 times more chances being abused if you go out at night and you get something put in your drink or just somebody overpowers you. But nobody's going to make a news out of it, right? Because it's normal. But when somebody goes to get healing and then gets abused, it is sensational and is not to be denied. It's still a disaster. It's still a terrible thing to happen, but it will be on the news. And as I said, anything that has to do with ayahuasca will be overblown and will be on the news. And I don't know why. You know, they say bad publicity is still better than no publicity. Maybe not. What do you think?
Well, of course, that's not. Those are not stories you want to hear about ayahuasca, because there are so many amazing stories of transformation, of healing, and whereas there's the good, there's the bad. Whereas there's the bad, there's the good. Talking about the sensational nature of ayahuasca, I think it also. One reason why so many people are afraid of ayahuasca, because they think, oh, I will have to confront my deepest, darkest fears. I will go to all my childhood traumas. I will go to hell and back. And those are the videos that also go viral. But the video where I say, oh, I felt a lot of love for myself, could forgive that person, that video gets 200 views.
It doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell,
Yeah.
but that's so much more the path of ayahuasca. In the end, the healing always comes through the love, the light, the understanding, the compassion, the acceptance, the forgiveness. That's also the path of ayahuasca. So don't believe every sensational story. Don't believe that those sensational experiences about ayahuasca ceremonies that go viral, that those are necessarily representative of the majority of ayahuasca ceremonies or of your ayahuasca ceremony. So trust in yourself and ayahuasca and allow it to develop. And it also doesn't always need to be the strongest, most life-changing experience. Maybe if you connect with yourself and you cried and maybe you haven't cried for 10 years, that can put so much weight, emotional baggage that you carry with yourself off your shoulders. So many other things that what I also like, you don't need to solve all of your problems in an ayahuasca ceremony either, or an ayahuasca retreat. But if you experience a level of growth, if you get good impulses within a long weekend, within a week, it's still a big step that you can take in your healing journey.
Absolutely, Oliver. And one last thing on the topic of abuse, ayahuasca, and sensationalism. You know, on all that one rape story from the jungle, there are also thousands, if not tens of thousands of stories of people overcoming abuse thanks to ayahuasca, coming to the retreat and healing. Like a lot of people come to our retreat and they see something from the past that was long forgotten, and then they overcome it and they feel better and they heal themselves and their families. And that's largely not spoken about. People don't want to talk about those kinds of things. And it's sort of a sad part about the way our media works in general. Like nobody cares about good news. Yes. Everyone cares about bad news because we as mammals, we're always in search for the danger to avoid. So on the topic of that danger to avoid, I'll try and bridge it to prices. Like what prices should you avoid? What is the reasonable price for an ayahuasca retreat? Because people ask that. Is it worth it? Is it going to be too expensive? What do you think, Oliver?
Well, I think there's right price points for everybody. There are ayahuasca retreats for $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 upwards, and one might think like, oh, I would never want to go to that type of retreat. But maybe you are a very high-level entrepreneur and you are used to paying that for a week of vacation anyway, and you would want to go to that type of place as well. So maybe for that person, that retreat is exactly what speaks to them. Then there are also retreats in all different price categories, and I have a lot of, the prices that we offer are incredible for the level of accommodation, the food, the support, the additional activities, the ceremonies. I mean, we do a long weekend retreat from $400 or $500 to a week retreat, something $800-900. I'm not sure exactly about your prices, but something in that range. Also in the future, I will go up a bit, but if you think about all the things that you get, how much you would normally spend on a vacation, it's also a question about priority as well. Also knowing that when you go to an ayahuasca retreat, you are supporting their mission as well. I think it's a big topic, but you can find from like low budget to high budget, anything, and you'll find the right place for you.
Yeah, price-wise, I think you're slightly more expensive than us, maybe a couple $100. But for those of you guys also to analyze, it's important to know that the bigger groups, you can charge a little less. And I think our groups are slightly bigger than yours, so it kind of balances itself out. But I know Oliver absolutely tries his best to make it affordable. Same do we. Both of our retreats, 1 week options, are less than $1,000. And honestly, you're gonna probably spend less spending a week at our retreat than spending a week in any big city in the US. Just the food and let's say in just a hotel in New York, you'd probably spend double. And that's not including serene nature surroundings and amazing accommodation and delicious food and the great transformation you can experience. So I'm very proud of our offer. I also like what Oliver does here, and I do believe that we charge very reasonable prices. And in the end, the value for you, only you can know it. some people, like one time I posted online and on the Facebook group, and a person said, I would never go to your retreat, it's too cheap. So if it's cheap, it doesn't mean it's bad. And I was like, yeah, come pay double, it's okay. But the person never came. It's just, he was just there to leave a bad comment, right? But it did affect me, because I don't know about you, Oliver, but I definitely fight the price increase all the time, trying to keep it low, but things happen, expenses happen, inflation happens, so prices get adjusted. But as long as you get your money's worth, then the price is right.
Well, and also, if you think about how much does it cost you to not have that level of healing, how much are you spending on your triggers because they're unhealed, the nights that you go out drinking alcohol because you cannot be at home by yourself, and many other things to take into consideration, that you stay in the same place, not ready to make a decision, not ready to move on, being emotionally drained by topics of the past that it keeps you down, not figuring those out, letting go of them. A lot more energy will be freed up as well. You can use that energy to create new things in your life. So
I love that analogy. It's we focus a lot on the price of action. Well, it's going to cost me $700 to go drink ayahuasca, but we don't focus on price of inaction. How much is going to cost me if my relationship falls apart and I need to go through a divorce? Hundreds of thousands. You know, it's like, how much is it going to cost me to keep drinking and I get cirrhosis 5 years from now, or cancer? How much is it going to cost me taking all those antidepressants and paying, monthly amounts, or smoking all that weed to numb myself down? So yeah, don't ask only for the cost of action, also look for cost of inaction. Is inaction actually a word? Inaction?
I believe it is.
Disaction?
Yeah. And I think some people have a problem where they see like those retreats for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 upwards in super luxurious situations. They're like, oh, there's a business person who makes a business out of it. I want to support the local groups, the indigenous community, cultural appropriation. Is it even okay if I drink ayahuasca as a white person? Oh, there's a white facilitator. How is he supposed to know things about ayahuasca? So what's your take on cultural appropriation, ayahuasca making it from the jungle up into the Western world?
It's a tricky subject. Cultural appropriation, psychedelic tourism, positive effects of it, negative effects of it. I do believe if it's done responsibly, it can be very beneficial for the indigenous people. I'll give you my retreat as an example. Our shaman is an indigenous person. He comes from the jungle. He grew in the jungle. He has some land there. He gets paid very, very well, meaning he, definitely top 1% of earners here in this country. So he then goes back to the jungle, and this money goes to his community because there's somebody who, helps him tend to his ayahuasca garden, and those are huge territories of land. This land goes, for example, I know his father recently brought an electricity line to a remote jungle village. This is money that goes through from you to me, to him, from him to other people in the local community, and then it brings the economy up. So there's nothing wrong with it. If you're worried about the sustainability of ayahuasca, it's extremely sustainable. It grows where other things don't want to grow. It would either be sort of just a kind of abandoned land with some forest, because the food crops don't grow there, but ayahuasca grows there, and they can harvest it, and it's an amazing driver for their local economy. And when it comes to appropriation, well, if you ask Taitas themselves, if you go and ask shamans, like, is it okay? Like, do you mind? My shaman, every time the retreat starts, he makes a presentation to the group, and one thing he always mentions, that he's so grateful that he doesn't have to go travel around the world, that people come from all over the world here to learn from his tradition, to drink his medicine, to receive that healing. He's excited. He loves it. And there might be tribes that say, I don't want to share it, but that's their opinion. So at least in that tradition and here in Colombia, most of the tribes, as far as I understand, there was a moment where shamans felt the calling, the world is getting sick, you need to get out of your cave, get out of your jungle, get out of your mountaintop and go to the city because we're sick, and this is one of the very few things that can help us. So I'm an optimist on the subject. I do believe that psychedelic tourism can be done well, obviously with certain respect maintained, where you do try and go support indigenous communities. You do try and root yourself in a tradition, and you don't just go to Peru and go to the market, drink ayahuasca, and then jump off your balcony and then blame ayahuasca for killing you. It's about the level of respect and the level of tradition, and I think it can be done really well. What do you think, Oliver?
Well, I love what you shared. And when you actually go to the Amazon, when I was the first time in Moco, I was like, what's the industry here? How do people make money? And you see all those stores selling clothes, but it's like the money has to come from the outside for them to build something up. It can be for ecotourism, and of course ayahuasca is a very big topic. And for them to also have the ability to share ayahuasca with people from the West, charge different prices than what they charge for local people, it creates that level of resource for them to buy more land, to cultivate ayahuasca there. So what you mentioned, yes, there has been that point where they also understand ayahuasca has to make it out to the world, because if it doesn't, then we'll just keep cutting down the rainforest and not have that level of consciousness of to help grow, transform, compassion, all that kind of stuff. And so they are very appreciative of ayahuasca expanding from the level of consciousness, the level of healing that the world receives, and also their economic compensation, their opportunity that comes with it. And I think it's people who ask that, I really appreciate it, that they think about those types of stuff. Like, oh, I don't just want to be an idiot and take something from somebody's culture who it doesn't belong to me and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate their level of compassion, caringness, concern. It's interesting at the same time, maybe also those very few retreat centers who charge absurd amount of prices, and the majority of the profits go to the business person. That might not be the best example of continuous growth and exchange of values, knowledge. So that's, of course, a different topic of a conversation. But in general, it's very helpful to the indigenous communities. Also, it allows the ayahuasca to keep developing as well, because many people in the indigenous communities, they maybe don't want to be necessarily taitas or shamans because it's not an easy job to do. Maybe they want to be more a DJ or this, that, or whatever. And
reggaeton singer.
It requires a lot of discipline to be on this path of ayahuasca, and these opportunities, of course, help. And then there's the video, I think that went viral, about a guy who put on a poncho, Mexican hat, and a beard, and asked people at universities in the US, how do you like my outfit? And they're like, oh no, this is cultural appropriation, you cannot do that. And then he went to Mexico and he asked the people, oh, how do you like the outfit? Oh, it's really good. Does it offend you in any way? Oh no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can make problems out of things that also are not really a problem.
Yeah, it's also not, it's not exactly the same subject as, like, wearing something. It's kind of like when you have something that you have a lot of and you know that it's really good for you, you want to share it. They, at least in my experience, the shamans I spoke to, they love to share their tradition. They feel blessed, they feel grateful, they feel honored that people from the other parts of the world come and enjoy their tradition. Would they be feeling the same if they were not included anymore? If somebody just drinks ayahuasca somewhere, grows it, and they don't know anything about their tradition and they're forgotten and some big corporation makes a lot of money, probably not. And this is your choice in choosing your retreat. Where does your medicine come from? Does the person that cooks the medicine gets a fair remuneration? And there is a way to do it right. It doesn't mean that it will automatically make itself right, but consumers vote with dollars. When you pay somebody that is not doing a good job and you don't pay somebody who is doing a good job, well, you're supporting a wrong guy. So do your research and make sure you know where your dollar votes go.
I would like to add one more thing to the topic, and it's about drinking ayahuasca in a place where it's legal and also where the tradition is there. Here in Colombia, ayahuasca is legal. Ayahuasca comes from the Amazon. The tradition comes from here just as much as it comes from Brazil, Peru, Venezuela, Bolivia, wherever the Amazon rainforest is. The thing is, if you drink ayahuasca in the States or somewhere in Europe, there can be which are in most cases more underground ceremonies, and you might be lucky and find a good indigenous shaman who is traveling and experience a ceremony there. But I think what can also happen is that somebody goes to the jungle, spends maybe 3 months there and says like, oh no, I know how to share ayahuasca, then goes to the US, starts doing ceremonies there. He will not have that level of deep knowledge about ayahuasca, also how to support people. That's where situations happen where people do not feel well taken care of. And I mean, Colombia is not a long flight away from the US. It's affordable options. So if you can travel to places where ayahuasca is legal, where there is that local tradition, and you're that much more likely to have a safe and good experience and support the right people as well.
Definitely. And just be responsible. Because as you said, that person, I've met people like this. There was a person that came to our retreat, drank medicine with us for the first time, then went to Peru to some place where after 3 months they gave that person a piece of paper saying that they're a shaman. Well, guess what if that person goes and gives incorrect amount of ayahuasca to incorrect kind of person and does incorrect kind of ceremony and the person dies? Nobody's gonna ask that this person was not a real shaman. They'll just say ayahuasca killed the person, big highlight. They blame it on ayahuasca. They don't. It's like, you have a knife and you cut a steak with it and make a great dinner and feed few people. That's good. It's a tool. You know how to use it. But you can also take knife and go kill other people. But there won't be news about that knives kill people now. It's a bad analogy, but it has to be done responsibly. So always ask. You can have a white shaman. It is possible. A white person can become a medicine giver, even in Colombian tradition. But that requires a very long commitment, like years and years of working with indigenous people, learning their tradition, drinking tons of ayahuasca. So if you do it just for ego, just to tell your friends that you're a shaman, you'll fail long before an actual shaman will give you an actual permit to give medicine. It has to be earned. And for people to just wake up one day and just see ayahuasca and say I'm a shaman, that's not. You can feel a calling to become a shaman after first few ceremonies. Something similar happened to me, not specifically shaman, but it was a calling to become a healer. But I am being responsible, and I say maybe 20 years from now, when I master that, I can think about calling myself a healer. But not. It's kind of like you go to university and you give an application to become a neurosurgeon and you start calling yourself neurosurgeon next day. That's not how it works. You become that first and then you... But that's that's a bit of a negative, I guess, note, because there's unfortunately a lot of reckless people in the world of medicines. But I do believe we answered most of the questions we set out to answer. Do you think of any other things you get commonly asked that we skip talking about?
I think we covered a lot of things. I want to add one more point, and about responsibility. Responsibility from the side who's sharing ayahuasca, but in the end, also your responsibility. You choose the retreat center, you choose the place that you go, you choose how many ceremonies you're going to partake, and you also choose the decisions that you're going to make after ayahuasca. If on ayahuasca a desire starts to come up, or a calling that you want to start to travel the world, it doesn't mean that you have to quit your job the next day and then travel the world, and after 6 months you're broke, and then you tell like, oh, ayahuasca told me that I should travel the world and now I'm broke. It's like, find a way on how you can travel, or find a way how you can, that desire that you experience, that you have, how to bring it into your life. But in the end, it's you who makes those decisions. And yes, there are many things that come into the place from the retreat center, from the facilitators, to give a safe experience. But it's also just as much your decision on going on this journey, how many ayahuasca ceremonies you experience, and the decisions that you take after as well. So take that level of responsibilities on both sides.
Very well said, Oliver. And I think we can wrap up this episode now, and we're planning to do it regularly. So if you guys have some topics you want to ask us, leave a message in the comments. If you're listening to this on Spotify, then find the contact information on our website and send me the message if you have specific topics you want to learn more about, or find the video on YouTube and leave a comment there. Once again, we were with you, Oliver Glozik from the Guacamayo retreat. How can people find you if they want to visit your retreat?
So ayahuasca-retreat.com is my website, easiest access. It should be a WhatsApp message. Thank you very much for coming here to this place, for the time, for your time of the listener as well, to listen to this podcast. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening, guys, and I'm, as always, Sam Believe of Lowaira Retreat. If you want to visit my retreat, you go to ayahuascaInColombia.com, and that's Colombia as COLO, not COLU, or go to Lowaira.com, LAWAYRA.com. Whichever retreat you choose, there's options. We would not be offended. We do regularly send people to each other when either he's full or our dates don't work out, because I do believe that both Guacamayo Retreat and Lowaira, we maintain high levels of high standards of approach to medicine and integration. So thank you for listening or watching, guys, and I hope to see you at Colombia soon.